Superhero games. Looking back on them now, I would have said there wasn't enough, but I think I've changed my mind. Putting together this video, realized that there were quite a lot of superhero games growing up, and that was most of the games that I was playing. You had every superhero had their own game. Batman games, Superman games, Spider-Man games, Hulk, Punisher. The best ones, of course, were the Marvel Ultimate Alliance or X-Men Legend games. But one here, I didn't really ever think about it, and I definitely don't remember this getting announced, but there was never a Daredevil game. Well, there was that one on the Game Boy that I've recently learned about, but most of other big heroes at the time had one during the PS2 era, or they got one later in like the PS3 era, like Thor or Iron Man. But there was a Daredevil game that was announced back in 2003, but that game was supposed to be none other than Daredevil, the Man Without Fear. And it was supposed to be a movie tie-in kind of game, similar to how the Batman Begins movie was for the Daredevil movie with Ben Affleck. However, due to a bunch of infighting, I guess you could say, it never came to be. This game was originally known as Daredevil the video game during early development. It was a third-person beat-em-up action-based game based on the Frank Miller Marvel superhero comic of the same name. Developed by 5,000 Foot Studios, famous for making the Army Men games, Green Rogue and World War Team Assault. It was going to be released for the PS2, Xbox, and PC. And the game's original story was based on Elektra Lives Again comic book. Started off with Kingpin supposedly assassinated, which causes a gang war, and Foggy ends up getting kidnapped. But yeah, you played as Daredevil, beat things up, and you had a Spidey sense kind of thing. It was called the Shadow World, where you could see heat signatures and like people's heartbeats, and if they were good or not, or like where your objective was. But it was a level-based game, and there was other side missions and collectibles so you can get it along the way. When they began development at the time, Sony kind of got their hands involved where they wanted things to change. What they were originally pitching, which was like an open world kind of game similar to Spider-Man 2, they wanted to be a beat 'em up style and be level based. And they even wanted a grinding mechanic that was inspired by the Tony Hawk Pro Skater series. But what made it even weirder is that Marvel wanted none of that, and it caused the relationship between, you know, the developers and Marvel and Sony to just become incredibly strained. This ended up ballooning their budget, and they missed their target of releasing the game to coincide with the movie, and they bumped the release down a couple more months. The game was in development to at least March of 2004 before it got canceled. The last straw was when Marvel just outright refused to approve the game due to all the changes that were being made, and it was far from what the original concept that was pitched to Marvel, so they canceled the game completely. And then from that, there was no other media that was produced until there was a YouTube video posted by the user PTOP online. It showcased like some concept art and map images, posted a bunch of screenshots, a bunch of gameplay. This was posted November 10th, 2020. And this was the only footage of the game that was released at the time until it was a user on the hiddenpalace.org website known as Casually Noted, and an anonymous developer who worked on the original game somehow was able to obtain a copy of the original game and upload it to hiddenpalace.org. And that was October 31st, 2023, almost 19 years after the game was supposedly had canceled. So from then, we had a playable PS2 game of Daredevil, A Man Without Fear. So what you're seeing is footage of that game. I was able to get it to play on my end. It is very janky. It barely functions in most of the time, but there are some cool elements to it. I mean, it's like a beat 'em up kind of game, kind of similar to maybe like the first Spider-Man game or maybe Ultimate Spider-Man. You can hop up walls and you can throw your batons and blow stuff up. But only the first level, the third and fourth level, and maybe like the sixth and seventh are playable. There's like full-on CGI, like cel-shaded cutscenes done. The game is pretty much in a playable, like start to finish state, and you have to do some like trickery with the game's profile system to be able to do like this level select mechanic, go through and play it all. But it's not a bad game. I actually enjoy playing it. It is pretty difficult though. I don't remember hearing about this game being announced, and I think it would have been cool to see this game get completely finished and released. I think it would have done pretty well. Yeah, that's the Daredevil game. Thanks. Bye.